Right now, I'm going to show you how to complete the water dye garden and herb spiral chore, which is one of the first chores you should be completing, as you can passively set up these sprinklers and let them water while you take care of all of these chores that you have to actively do. So in order to do the watering, you're going to come over to this hose reel, which is mounted to the wall at about, just above ground level. And you're going to take either this handheld spray nozzle or this sprinkler nozzle, which is located nearby on the wall usually. And feel free to use whichever one you want. Right now I'm going to show you how to use the sprinkler nozzle, which makes things a little bit easier, and you can do it passively. So you just set this up and leave it. So first of all, you want to make sure that the ball valve, which is this black piece of plastic right here, make sure that the ball valve is turned off. That way, when you turn on the water, it doesn't spray everywhere. This stops the flow of water from going out into the actual sprinkler. So this allows you to turn on the water and then walk this sprinkler out to wherever you're watering and then set it up. Another thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you're on what I call the sunset setting, which is this one right here. And that blows the water in sort of a half circle shape, and it's perfect for doing the dye garden. When you're moving the sprinkler over to the dye garden, make sure that you carefully unroll the hose reel. Do not jerk, whip, or tug too hard on the hose reel because it will screw it up. Just gently pull, applying even pressure so that the hose slowly unreels towards you. And now that we're almost there, I will show you what it looks like when we're doing setup. And I have already turned on the water, and since the black ball valve is locked, it's not spraying everywhere. So now that we're here by the dye garden, I'm going to set the sprinkler down. You can see it's on sunset or half circle function. That's going to spray water in the perfect orientation to cover this garden. The last thing you're going to do once you've got this in position is turn this valve, this ball valve right here, and that will allow the water to turn on. Now, as you can see, it's covering pretty much the whole garden, and you'll want to let this water for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once 15 to 20 minutes is up, you're going to come back over to the sprinkler, turn off the ball valve to stop the water, and then take the sprinkler over to this smaller dye garden right here. Set it down, initiate the flow by turning the ball valve to the on setting, and then letting that spray for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once 10 to 15 minutes has passed, you're going to come back over to the ball valve, shut it off, and the last thing you're going to do is move the sprinkler over to the herb spiral. But there's one step that you need to do before turning it on, which is changing the sprinkler setting from the half circle function over to the full circle function, which is this one right here. So you twist until you're there. It's locked in, and then I like to set this right here on the topmost brick of the spiral. I'll step back so you can see the whole thing. The hose can move up into that position, and then go ahead and turn the ball valve. You might get sprayed a little bit here, but don't be afraid. That will allow the water to flow, and as you can see, it nicely waters over the whole thing. Once about 5 to 10 minutes has stopped, you can go ahead and stop watering the herb spiral. Just come over to the ball valve and turn it off one last time. And that pretty much completes the watering of the herb spiral and the 2 dye gardens. There's one last thing we're going to do, which is roll up the hose reel. Once you are done watering the 2 dye gardens and the 1 herb spiral, you are going to carefully wind the hose back onto the hose reel. And this is essentially undoing what you did earlier, which was very carefully by applying even pressure to pull the hose off of the reel. You're going to do the same thing by applying pressure with this hand and this hand to the crank to slowly, while sliding it through your other hand, slowly let that hose coil onto the hose reel as evenly as possible. You want to have very few overlaps. You want to have it go onto the hose reel nice and evenly with no kinks or anything like that. Just take your time and get it on there nice and gently until you're done. And the very last thing you're gonna do is turn off the water here at the wall.